theme for this panel discussion would be how to work with children during this pandemic. And I have with me three empowered parents, Mrs. Prabha Raghavan, Mrs. Nivrita, and Mrs. Selva Prabha. And how do I know them? They have been part of my 12-week program, the 12 Steps to Empowerment. And as most of you know, this 12-week program has a combination of activities. Like for every week you have to do an assignment, and they have been successful and dedicated and determined, because they have finished each and every assignment of that on time. And all of them have completed the entire program, and that's the reason I know more about them. Okay, and that is something that I wanted other parents to emulate as well, that with that gives you a sense of clarity, which will help as well, right? So I request the panelists to please switch on your videos, and you can have a quick introduction about yourself, if you'd like. And we can go with Mrs. Prabha Raghavan.
Good evening, everybody.
Yes.
I'm Prabha. I'm a mother of a special child. She's 14 years old. She's hyperactive and she's on the spectrum. I try to learn a lot of things through her. It's not that, I want to teach her something. It's like I am learning from her. I have learned that whatever I have learned so far in life has not worked at all. It's all a waste. So I have started from scratch. And like Sir would say, the plasticity of the mind. So I am plastic enough. My mind is plastic enough. My brain is plastic enough to accept the fact that I am still learning, and I learn to teach her.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Thank you. Thanks for joining. And can we have a claps in the screen? I mean, on the chat box as well, just to, or you can say hi or welcome. Yeah, that looks much better.
Hi.
Yeah, thank you very much. And Mrs. Nivrita, please introduce yourself.
Yes. Hello, everybody. I'm Nivrita. I'm mother of a 10-year-old kid who's autistic. Life has changed since the diagnosis. Like initially, we were not accepting the diagnosis and all. So now we have come to a stage where we accept and move on with life's challenges, and each day is learning for us, the kid. And I'm very happy to be part of this group.
Thank you, Mrs. Nivrita. Welcome. That's
Thank
for you as well. And Mrs. Selva Prabha, please introduce yourself.
Hello all, I'm Selva Prabha Kadruvelu. I have two children. My older son, Chandu, who's 10 years old, he's on the spectrum. And we had his diagnosis when he was 3 years old. And since then, I've been always learning about autism and trying to venture into the world of autism and try to understand how he looks at the world, and what he goes through, and how I can support him to get the best out of him. And coming into Shrishti Therapies group is one of the best things I've done. I've learned so much in the last 3 months. I mean, I cannot tell how many eureka moments have come and how many things I've learned so far. And
absolutely agree.
Yes, yeah, and I've been learning throughout, and every time I learn something, it's always new. And both my sons teach me as well, especially Chandu. I know it's a very difficult thing, but still I'm happy to have my son who's autistic. He's still my son, and I cherish him for who he is. And I'll just I'm quite happy with this journey.
Welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, so we start the discussion with Mrs. Selva Prabha, because this is a time when we talk about the pandemic, and kids are spending most of the time at home. Many times we see this as a negative aspect, the pandemic, but I would like to see from a different perspective. So my question to you would be, what are the positives of having the kid at home pre-COVID and during this pandemic? So what are the positives there?
Yeah, I have noted some of the points from my experience. It was quite difficult initially because it's a change in routine. But the positives I have seen is because we are stuck in a specific routine, we have never thought about changing it and doing something different in our life. So that was having the pandemic and everything was not going as per our regular routine helped me to stop and think and set a new routine for our life and kind of rectify some of the things that were not going right before. And also setting the new routine means that I can introduce some of the important stuff that I could get Chendu to practice, which cannot be done at school. Like I kind of started practicing self-care, so he can shower on his own, and then he can, use the toilet and clean himself, which I was helping him all the time before the pandemic. So these kind of important things, and he started helping me with the cooking. So he would chop, peel, all those things. We didn't have the time to do those things when he was going to school. It's always so busy and the routine was completely different. And he still has a bit of differences with his sibling, my younger son. So he found it very difficult to be in the same space all day long during the pandemic because he didn't have have a school, so he couldn't go out and we couldn't get out. But I took that opportunity again, saying that it was never easy, but then I took it in a positive sense and started working with them both. So did some facilitated play games together and doing some tickling games, which Chandu loves a lot. So those kind of things really helped me to, get them both bond together. And I wouldn't have had this opportunity if the pandemic hasn't started. So these are the, and one of the main things is I also started teaching sign language for my younger son. So we as a family, we started learning sign language. Because of the pandemic, there were lots of people who are being helpful, putting lots of useful YouTube videos. So we started learning something as a family, which helps us a lot even now to communicate with Chendu because he's mainly non-verbal. So challenges are good sometimes, actually.
Yeah, and it's like sometimes when we are so busy with the routine that, I mean, you're talking about going to school and going to therapy centers and all of that, sometimes we actually don't really know is this what is required at this point of time? We don't even have time to reflect back and see whether this is really helping or not.
No, it's like we are stuck in it and then we don't think about it. But now if something doesn't work, then we are forced to think something different, and something different is always good, actually. So
that's a nice way of putting it. So looking at it from a positive aspect definitely makes a lot of difference. Okay, thank you very much. My next question would be to Mrs. Nivrita. Now, in this phase where there are a lot of indoor activities that were going on, children were not being exposed to going to the park and other things. I would like to know, like, how did you compensate for the lack of physical activities for the child during the pandemic?
Yes, sir. Like during this pandemic, it was very difficult because we were not having a OT and other physical things she was having, like swimming and all. So initially, it was very difficult for me to cope with that. Slowly, we started like with household chores, like she waters the plants and all. Like we have many plants and sweeping the home. Like she can help me with that. So like walking, she has started and cycling. So things like that, sort of gives some compensation for the physical activities for her, and some like indoor things, like we have many restrictions for. So I tried staircase climbing. Like she likes to climb the staircase and all. So I made her to climb it in the reverse direction. So it gives some interesting thing for her. And these are things we tried at home, like for the physical activities.
So so we have to look at this like in a perspective where like it need not be only like a physical activity has to be an exercise. It can also be a household chores, and all of that can
Yes,
also be
yes,
part of the physical activities. And again, because it is part of your daily routine, you're likely to do it every day, so
yes, sir.
that takes the burden out of it to think and be creative about activities. Yeah.
Yes, that is also true. Yes, sir.
Thank you very much for that particular input. And the next question to Mrs. Prabha Raghavan, like we see that there's a lot of screen time during this pandemic, because like invariably children have to, or they have a lot of free time, and then they get stuck to this screen time watching YouTube videos, or playing on the mobile phones. How to control screen time during the pandemic? What were your thoughts, and what did you do about it?
Yeah, as any stuck to the screen time, much and more addicted towards the screen. And screen in our days was only the television screen, which was in the living room, and there was no remote also. So the switch was controlled by
Very true.
by the parent. But these days, the screen is invaded into our private space. The screen is everywhere. This is
Your voice is
unlimited.
a little breaking. Can just repeat the last point again?
This is actually a lot more alarming, because in earlier days, we had only one channel, and then there was not much of things to look into also. Am I audible?
Yes, yes, yes.
Now had to be overcome. Now we could use negative reinforcements, like hiding away the remote, or unlocking the television with a password protection and all that. And then you can even deactivate the Wi-Fi, things like that. But all this was not actually helping them, because they were getting frustrated, and they also knew that they were being controlled. See, children do not like being controlled. Why children? None of us like being controlled. It was, we had to give them the option that they are in control. This pandemic actually offered another wonderful insight to her, because earlier when she used to get up, she never used to see us doing the daily routines, like brushing our teeth and taking bath and things like that. Now when we were asking her to do her daily routines, she was finding it difficult. Why should I brush my teeth? Why should I bathe every day? Why should I do this? But when she was watching the others at home doing them regularly, doing them at that particular time, she understood that this was a routine which has to be done by everybody, and everybody is doing it. So why should I question it? And I will also do it. And there was no other clue. She started doing them willingly. So these daily routines, they formed a structure of their own. So it was not like, it was invading into one particular time, and we had to set a time, bring in structure. The structure flowed beautifully. Everybody, it was like, instead of controlling, we had to lead by example. We had to forcefully stay away from screen time ourselves as parent. See, we were setting up always looking into breezing through channels. What is an example? And asking the child not to do it doesn't make sense. So we had to, refrain from all those activities and pass time with the child. Find out activities where we could involve her, so she feels useful. At the same time, she also feels connected with the family and as a whole. There's not much exposure outside, but within the rooms, within the small flat, and this was leading to a lot of claustrophobia. And the only escape was this channel and these YouTube's things. So why did I hear that? So it was to understand, it is available. It is very much available at any whenever she wants it. But this activities like everybody else, follow routine, and then you will get your time. There was a time set that from this time, videos, you can see whatever you want. And then it was like, it was nice. She never found that she was being controlled. She found that, yes, it was nice that it is available to me. It was not like there was a control. I have access to it. Let me also use it. And nobody is going to stop me there. So that was actually a positive thing which came from her also. She accepted it. Now, when it came to this Wi-Fi password and all that, we had to, control certain things. Like because she was going to a particular video and she was looking at only one particular screenshot, she used to pause it and watch only that screenshot. It was creating a lot of sort of disturbance at home. Wherever she went, she chose one particular song and one particular scene in that particular song. She used to freeze it and keep watching it. In fact, I had asked Mr. Karthik sir for help, and he had suggested switch off the Wi-Fi, give her downloaded videos, don't give access to Wi-Fi. So we had to, go offline, download the videos, and not give her a remote control, so she can switch it off, so she can just watch it, play the whole song, and then come back to it. This was a restriction which we accepted it. It was nice on her part. Then,
That's nice to give
Chandu
credit to
said,
your
involve
daughter.
her in. Yes, we have to accept her because she is an individual. And it
Sorry,
was
we're
nice.
losing you. You're losing
And
your
like
voice.
now, okay. And like Chandu said, we involved her in cooking and we involved her in daily activities like the housekeeping and all these things. She understood, she participated in it. It was much more interesting to her and she liked them. So, the screen part of it was little more less thing for her. And then and there was another thing which we did was, songs which we could do Zumba dance and all that. So all of us started dancing. And it was, it was nice for her to participate, the song, do our own steps in our own clowny ways. It was not the regular except it was a clowny and it was a fun sort of way. So it was not much of forcing her to do it in particular order or anything like that. She could do anything and it passes off. So she could see her father clowning, she could see her mother clowning, and it felt nice. It less rigidness, they loosened the rigidity and she became more flexible. So, these were the things which I adopted in screen time control. It worked.
Wonderful, wonderful.
Thankfully.
And probably we can add Zumba dance to a list of physical activities that can be done at home.
Definitely, sir. It works wonders.
Sure, it should be. Thank you very much for that. My next question to Mrs. Selvaprabha, now it's been a tough time not only for kids but also for parents. So how can parents equip themselves during this pandemic?
Okay, there are certain things I've noted it down, which worked for me, and also the things that I've learned throughout this pandemic. First thing I learned, or very, very important thing, is setting priorities. We have to accept that we cannot do everything, possibly everything. We cannot do everything on our own. So setting priorities is very, very important, because what happened is at the beginning of the pandemic, because we are all at home, I wanted to cook a fresh meal, all 3 times in a day. Had to work, I have to educate children, keep them active, try to get them away from screen time, everything. So it was too much. So, I had to set priorities for me. So what's important? So I have to go by that. And in order to set priorities, I tried to organize my day the previous night. So it was like always make a list of things that I'm going to do. I mean, kind of a rough schedule, basically, for myself. So this time to this time, roughly, this is what we are going to do. So morning 9 o'clock, we'll just have a PE or an activity time. And then it will be, reading time for children. So again, there will be individual work time for them while I do some work. And then it's lunchtime. Again, I tried not to do elaborate cooking during lunch or breakfast. It's like easy ones. And then afternoon, again, trying to organize some one-to-one, because I have 2 children. I have to make sure that they are engaged. Not always they can work together. So I have to make sure this is one-to-one with Chandu, and then this is one-to-one with Vivian. And that was very, very important, because because we are all at home, children do see it, and especially my younger one, he is 6 years old, and he always comes and complains that, oh, you spend a lot more time with Chandu than me, and he's only 6 years old, and he expects me to spend that time with him as well. And so that was quite difficult, but I have to set the time, because otherwise I wouldn't know. He'll be complaining, but then I have to come and say, oh no, this morning 10 to 11 we did this together, and we were spending time. And it's the same with the Chandu. So reminding him helped to keep the sanity at home. And also like trying to come up with a list of sensory plays, especially with Chandu. He cannot work or do some writing or things like that on his own, but I have to make a list of all the sensory plays, and you know, something like activities like some puzzles and play-doh activities, or you know, painting, that sort of thing, where he can do certain things unsupervised. So I get them out, and then he can do unsupervised for 15 to 20 minutes. So that time I do spend a separate time with Divyan, or do my work, that sort of thing. So organizing my day the previous night really helped me. And it's important we involve our partners. My husband helped me quite a lot, or I shouldn't say help, because it's a family, so we share the work. So it's not for help, if you understand what I mean. So like we shared the work, and we were like able to make that into the schedule as well. So when he had meetings or I had meetings, we had to make sure that we talk to each other, and we tell that this is the time we have the meetings. So we will do it these ways. And he's not a great cook, so he doesn't like cooking, but then he can make burgers, like just marinating the chicken and, you know, like putting it in the oven. So those sort of things. So I'll make a note, okay, today is burger day, you're going to take care of the cooking. So I can relax. So it's very important you get a me time as well to keep the sanity. Initially, this is from my husband as well. He always insists I have to have my me time, but I always ignore, and I have to dedicate all my time, and I sometimes feel guilty, not like spending time for myself, not spending with the kids. But it was very important to keep the sanity. So you need to take your me time, either go for a walk on your own, or I love watching TV, you know, like a movie or something. So I take out 1 hour where Senthil looks after the kids, and then I just simply just nothing serious or anything, but then it's my time kind of thing. And the other important thing I learned after a few weeks is once in a week you need to take a easy day, because we have a list of once in a week we
What day is it?
Easy day.
Okay.
Like it can be a middle of the week, Wednesday or something, because Divyan from school as well, they had a list of things that they should cover every day, that sort of thing. But it's not mandatory, but then we try to follow it. But then Wednesdays would be an easy day where we let go. We don't strictly follow it, you know, like we do 1 or 2 activities, that's it. We don't complete the day's work. So it's an easy day for all of us. So all the 4 of us will take it easy. So even work, we'll take it milder, that sort of thing. Only all the mandatory and important things we do. We don't try to complete the whole of the activities that have been allocated to us. So that was quite important to get that downtime, because it's like all 7 days we are at home, so we are kind of busy all 7 days. That's not practically possible. So those
we have lost Sundays to the pandemic.
Yes, it's kind of, isn't it? Because you don't get that downtime, and especially working moms, if they have been the main home carrying person, then it's kind of they don't have the time at all. You know, like it's quite hard, and that's why partners should heavily involve in day-to-day activities. That was quite I mean, very important, and that's the only thing that helped us survive through the pandemic. And yeah, very important thing as well is to either have a gratitude journal or something like that, where you celebrate small positive aspects of today. So you have gone through, because it's quite easy, what I found is build upon negative things that have been happening, especially at the beginning of the pandemic, where Chandu and Divyan didn't get along, and it was very hard and stressful. It was very emotionally very difficult. But then I started writing the journal. So every time I go to bed, I will write one positive thing, that at least one positive thing that has happened with each individual. So one positive thing with my husband, one positive thing with Chandu, one positive thing with Divyan. So that helped me to, you know, like calm myself down and go to bed happily rather than worrying about you know, different things that has happened throughout the day, which kind of spoils my sleep as well. But then this gratitude journal helped me to keep my head cool. And so we need to celebrate small improvements of small things. And
Sorry to interrupt you here. I
yeah.
just thought of adding a point here.
Yeah.
Because like when we see, when you are in the family, and then people don't tell you whether you're lean or obese. Okay, you're not put on weight, you have lost weight and all of that. But after, if you meet somebody after 6 months, after a year, and then they'll tell you like how obese you've become or how lean you've gone and all of that, because they see a change which is built over a period of time. Whereas when people who stay with you are seeing you every day, so the change is so small that they're not able to perceive it. Okay.
Yes.
I think this gratitude journal it's a very good idea, because then when you start noticing the small changes, then you understand that this is something which is significantly affecting or having an impact on the child's development.
Yes. Yeah. Yes. Yeah, no, especially for Chandu, because I at some point I felt like nothing is changing, you know, like all the effort that I'm putting is kind of not working or something like that. But for me to put it down with a pen and paper helped me to realize that no, there are lots of positive things in the life. And last one, but very important thing is you need to have a support network. We live in the UK, so we don't have family close by, but we have amazing friends group here who all understand, and we are me and my husband, we are quite open about Chandu, so we don't keep it a secret, or we don't hesitate to talk about his difficulties or his improvements, or how he's getting along. And all our friends, they kind of help us get through this pandemic. Especially in the UK, we have a rule where you can only go to you know, somebody's house if they are your support network. So otherwise, if it's a lockdown, you cannot go. So we were able to take Chandu, you know, for a few hours out to spend some time with other children and things like that. And also like to talk to, you know, you need to have someone to, you know, like when you have a heavy heart and if you're feeling really down, you need someone who can understand your pain and tell, oh no, that's all right, everything will be all right, don't worry. We can see that Chandu is moving along and he's getting better. And as he said, like I don't see it, but sometimes because they see only once in a while, they can see how Chendu was before and how he has changed now. So those kind of things, when they share those comments, it um, helps to keep you, positive, and that's very important to get through. So support network is very, very important. Yeah,
Well
that's
said.
that's all my points. Yeah.
Thank you very much for your inputs on that.
Yeah, thank you.
Question to Mrs. Nivrita. We have just 2 more questions and then we'll wind up the session. My questions to Mrs. Nivrita is as you initially said, like it was quite challenging to work with the kid initially. Like what were the challenges you faced and what did you do about it?
Yes, sir. First of all, it was very difficult for me to adapt to the new mode of teaching. Like now that all the classes are online, so to make her understand and sit before the system and listen to classes was difficult to me. Making her sit there and listen to the classes was difficult. Then for me, I'm not very techy and all. It was very difficult for me to use that things and all, laptops and computers. And other things were there were many alterations in the sleep and eating patterns. She used to sleep very late and get up late, and meal times are different. So all those things were making big changes in the routines, in the behavior also. Um, I was not sure when she was hungry and things like that. So since I have 2 kids at home, the smaller one is very young, so keep them engaged amidst my household chores was a bit difficult for me. Since I have a husband working, he's a doctor, so I don't get any help from him also. He has to go, especially during COVID. It was a risk for me also. I was thinking he should be safe from the hospital and all, so treating the COVID patients. So all those things had some impact on me. Now I'm coping with I'm trying to use visual schedules for her. She has to do, because the previous schedules were altered, so she has to be at home all the time. So I'm trying to give her new schedules, what we can do at home. So that is I am engaging her in cooking also. She helps me cutting vegetables and kneading dough. It gives a sensory feedback also. So these things help her calm down a bit. Then she has been learning light skills dressing up and eating by herself, showering and all. So I thought making her independent will work. So that is thing. Then another big problem is the screen time. So to reduce the screen time, because since we are using the laptops and all for the classes and as well as for our relaxation or entertainment, so it was difficult for me to segregate the both. After the class, she just takes the laptop and watches the YouTube and all. So to make designated time and space for that entertainment and academics was difficult for me. I'm still working on that actually. Another thing is, she gets disappointed swimming classes and all those things were cut. So she was not sure why we're not going out and why are always being inside. For those things, I try to explain social stories. I try during this COVID, we should not go out, and the importance of hand washing. All those things I've been saying. It's been working and not working both. Sometimes she's okay with it. Sometimes they overwhelm. So I think these are the challenges, I think, working with them at home.
Yeah, and say one thing that I always say with YouTube is that because the YouTube is a never-ending sequence of videos, yes. So one option is that we can change that in settings and make sure that the video ends there. But even if it ends there, it always gives you a suggestion. Do you want to watch this particular video?
Yeah.
And that is why, and when I recommend that we have to download that video and then switch off the Wi-Fi so that they have access.
Yeah, they are very clever enough. She doesn't downloaded videos. She just gives me back and gets very angry. Yeah.
This pandemic actually gave another wonderful thing, Wi-Fi down. We could say, the workers are working on it. There are no workers, and that was one great excuse we had.
Yeah, the phone will fly then.
Yeah, and I think Mrs. Prabha also added a very good point that if you don't want kids to use screen time, we should also
Yeah,
cut down on the screen time ourselves, because children
that is true, sir.
learn what they live. Okay, if we are constantly showing, I remember I once went to a yoga class, and this was by a lady who was just teaching on the terrace, and she would teach us every day in the morning. So if some days when the kids, I mean, she had a 4-year-old kid who sometimes wakes up early, and then she joins us in the yoga sessions. Okay, so it was something like that, because the mother is doing yoga every day in the morning. The child got so used to watching the mother that she knows the names of a lot of the yoga activities as well, the exercises. So children essentially they learn what they live. So that's something that we have to be consciously aware of. And how are we as a role model for the children?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
That's
thank
true.
you very much, Mrs. Nivrita, for your insights on that. And I'm sure it's a journey that
Yes.
all of us are trying to find out what works best, and how to bring the best of whatever the available resources that we have. And my final question to Mrs. Prabha Raghavan would be, like, we spend a lot of time, as even Mrs. Selva Prabha was talking about, looking at the negatives, like, but and we always don't try to see, which, like, it comes so naturally to us that we see the negatives in the child. My child is not talking, my child is not doing this. But instead of looking at the negatives, wouldn't it be nice if we start focusing on the positives, like what are the strengths of the child, and what are the things that he or she is good at? And wouldn't it be nice that if we identify the positives and then start working on that, rather than be too much particular about the negatives? What are your thoughts on that?
Absolutely, sir. See, the easiest thing which everybody knows what your weaknesses are. Everybody will say, this is not happening. She's not doing this. This is not right. It's not as per schedule. She's not. It's not age appropriate. She still has not learned this. It's there. The list is never ending. Somewhere, down the line, the child gets a feeling that it's a sort of demotivating for them, and then they feel they themselves, the self-worthness is not there at all. So as parents, it's our duty that we have to see the strengths of them also, and we should see that we motivate our children and see that they are on par with the other children, not in terms of the activity or not in terms of learning or anything like that, in terms of being a child, because they are losing the childhood. This was where what I thought, like you said, people kept telling she has speech difficulty, she's not able to talk. The speech therapist used to give us questioning, what is this, say what is this, and then she became so adverse to questions. If she used to feel very agitated, she used to go into a shell. She was unable to answer because it took a lot of processing time for her to understand the sentence and give the answer. Now people don't wait for you to give the answer. They immediately expect an answer. They ask what is it, and when you don't answer it in 1 2 3, they go on to the next question. It's a barrage. They just wait for that, listen, assemble it, and then get the answer out of the child. Actually, the question, but they don't give the processing time at all. This was one thing which I felt. They kept labeling her as she kept repeating the question. She did not give the answer, but she remembered her. They labeled it as equally. I gave it so many names. The thing to be followed. As a strategy, I found that she has a good memory, and which means the words are there in her. There is a vocabulary which is building up. So instead of asking a question, I started stating to her, like, milk is boiling, the food is ready, shall we eat? It was
Sorry, your voice is
statements.
breaking.
It was
Sorry, your voice is breaking. Just a few
okay.
seconds, and then
It was not. It was yeah.
instead of asking questions, what did you do?
Why don't you bring the food onto the table? Shall we write? It was a statement, and she understood it and she repeated it, which made sense because over a period of time she started sentences and they made sense. The other day when she was just crossing the kitchen, she saw the milk was boiling. It was about to overflow. She called her from there. Her voice brought me to senses, and I rushed to see if milk was boiling. She had noticed it, she had understood it, and she had used it aptly at the right time. So this strength, has to be appreciated. And instead of just questioning, why aren't you answering, why aren't you answering, it doesn't work. You Because the children understand, and we do not know whether they have understood or not. It's only when they utter such things like this, it happens. There's a huge moment for us also. Yes, it has seeped in, and it is the cognizance which is actually acting upon, and not just mere repetition of words. This was actually a wonderful thing. I give more time for me to, look at my daughter in a very positive angle. I used to teach her words. I used to build her vocabulary by, singing songs about the activities also. What are you in those the words which are repeated in the song, and when they happen in the real life, I used to point out to those things like what dance. So it was, the vocabulary was being built. Instead of questioning her, it was, a sing-song method. She learned the words, and it was getting registered. Her memory was excellent. So I took on that strength of her memory. I started teaching her a lot of slokas, which gave her clarity in her pronunciation. She did not understand the words, but do any of us know the meaning of the national anthem which we sing? That doesn't matter. I just took the example of that as a lead, and there are so many slokas which we say by rote every day. Do we know the meaning? No. But there is a little bit of a feeling that yes, it's religious and we have to utter it, it's auspicious, things like that. So in that spirit, I just started teaching her so many things in a song manner, and she got those words. There was a lot of improvement in her pronunciation. Her clarity improved. The memory was also being charged regularly, so she could simultaneously look upon studies also, which is a weakness. Now studies, there was a lot of memory involved, there was a lot of understanding, you have to repetition coming in. So when this good things were happening on one side, she was liking it. I associated those terminologies in her education and taught those which was needed. So building up the style of the child.
Sorry, I think we're losing you again. Is it the same with others? Sorry, you're muted.
Am I audible?
Yes, now voice was breaking a while ago.
Okay. Yeah. Now please, let's check it out.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Okay. Yeah. So this is it. The words mean a lot, but it is, at the end of the day, communication. So this, like the teaching methodology depends upon the parent. We should not look at the weakness. Look at the weakness. It is only a support which is needed for them to go one step further. When you look at the weakness itself, it is identifying what we have to work upon. And that's a long-term goal. We have to see, we have to plan, we have to attack it in a very systematic manner. Now, when we do that, the child should not know that it is her weakness. Do not keep pinpointing that this is the weakness the child has, but go with the flow. Just show the child that you are with the child all the way. Take one step at a time with the child. The child understands that your support is there with her, and she follows you readily because the security that you are there to support her when she falls. That helps the child. She understands you, she trusts you, and then she comes to you. So when you look on that and take that as the child has so much of trust in you, we also tend to give her the acceptance. She likes it. Now she feels that she is very important. She feels that her likes is being looked upon by the parent with understanding. The problem is not just with her, but the parent understands, trying to rectify the problem in her. trying to solve her problem and not create problems for her. See, we do not ask her to just do this, do that, do that, do that, do that, do that, do that. That repetition, that forcefulness makes the child, shrink into her own barricade comes up. Break the barricade, go closer to the child, one step at a time. Like Mr. Karthik used to say, count by. Give her the space. Do not act immediately. She is processing. Give her the time. Yes, we have to keep reminding ourselves, give her the time, give her the time. And also, when teaching, do not teach everything immediately. It is not the end of the day. It's not the end of the world today. We have a lifetime, and our responsibility is to overcome the weakness. While overcoming the weakness, we should not forget that there is something good in her that takes a back seat. Look at the good. Look at the good. Make her feel good about the fact that she has good. The fact that they know they have good helps them understand that they have a problem, and that problem also has to be overcome to reach the good level. This helps in the long run because they know what their good is. They know their strengths. They can look upon the strengths. They can talk with pride to others also. As parents, our children, we also have to have some moments. My child has done this. My child has done that. So you can post participate in a competition. She has got. It need not be anything. It is for our own morale boosting also. She has done something. The achievement. It also happens. This I felt. The child should not be punished for her weakness. The weakness is not hers. She has not brought it upon herself. It is there. We have to reach that final thing where she has not got that weakness. But where will that come? You have to start somewhere. Somewhere. That somewhere is the strength. Look at the strength. So any weakness will have a strength. Any weakness will have a strength. If she is able to identify your she need not start playing cricket the first day. She need not play badminton the first day. But she is able to identify the cock. That's a strength. Now then she knows this is the bat. That's great. Oh, you know the bat? You know the ball? Good. It's a strength. Go from there. Go on to the next step. Okay, you know the bat. This is how you hold the bat. You have to, it bounces on the bat. The strength, the build up on the strength, one step at a time. It helps in the long run.
Wonderful. I think you rightly said that the strength is the point where that would be a starting point to work on. Rightly said. Wonderful. So I'd like to thank all of you for your excellent thoughts and insights.
Can I add just one more point? Can I add, sir, which I forgot?
Each one of you will have a finishing line to add on. So yes, you can start with Mrs. Selvaprabha.
Okay, it's just when I was talking about the toolkit or how to equip ourselves, one of the new things that is helping me at the moment is the visual schedule I learned from your program, sir. It was really I do organize my day, which helped me through the pandemic. But then the visual schedule I learned through during this 12-week empowerment program, I'm employing that now for Chandu. So I put a list for him. This is what is coming next. This is what is coming next, and it's really helping him, especially. As Prabha said, one of the difficulty is iPad time for Chandu. He's kind of hooked up to it, but then I just put it, okay, we finish these things and then iPad is coming. So he's able to see that iPad is coming next, which helps him to calm himself, because otherwise he would be very upset that he wants the iPad. So that's one of the points that I missed. Obviously organizing my day, but then helping them to organize their day is also quite important. So that's one of the points that I missed. I forgot to tell that. And the other one is to keep the sleep routine the same. Try to do the morning wake up time and sleep time. It can be different to a school day, but then in the new routine, it has to be in a routine. So when they wake up and when they go to bed, needs to be at the same time for them to have a sense of the day is, coming in a routine. Because once that is lost, then we found it that the children were really disorganized during the day, because it was like one day they wake up at 9 o'clock, one day they wake up at 10 o'clock, or one day they wake up at 8. So that kind of thing didn't set up really well. So we had to make sure that, okay, it's a holiday, we are at home, no school day, so all of us wake up at 8 o'clock. So that sort of thing, but then no later than that. So that helped as well.
Wonderful. Yeah, thank you very much. Your parting comments, Mrs. Prabha Raghavan?
Yeah, I would like to say this pandemic, though it is a negative thing which is happening to all of us in the world, it did open up a lot of other things, good resources out of it. We could find more family time. We could appreciate each other, the space within the house. Each had a space, the respect for each other's space came up. And then the understanding that each other was available. We are the ones who are there to help each other out. It was there. And then the technology helped, because though we had shrunk into our house, the world was still open through this Wi-Fi and internet. It brought people closer, I would say, because people were so involved in their day-to-day routine, they were not finding time for others. This pandemic actually brought people closer. Though they were shut inside the house, people started responding as groups. People started getting into initiative. New cooking ventures came up. I cooked this today. What did you cook there? And there was competition. I post what I cook immediately, and then, oh yeah, you did this, and then that was coming up. And then there was a dressing up show, because there's nowhere else to go, so dress up and show. Today is dressing up day. Choose a particular color and dress up and pose, and then come online. It was all people did find ways to deal with it. The negativity can actually, be overwhelming, but there is something called the super brain, our mind. If we put ourselves to work, we are still one, all of us. We may be separate. There are a lot of things. There are so many online courses like which has come up now, which was not available earlier to our kids. In fact, I had joined the Srishti course, online course, a lot of search course I had joined online because of this pandemic. And then there was other courses on phonetics and things like that, which are also offered up, which was otherwise not available to our children. These were things which opened up because of this pandemic. And I would say Corona has actually helped me personally. I mean, it's not right, but then, yes. That would be my parting comment.
Nice way of looking at it, and always good to stay positive. And
Yep.
sum it up, like where there is a will, there is a way.
Yeah, and thank you, sir, for this wonderful opportunity.
Wonderful. I mean, thank you very much for accepting the offer, and thank you for your wonderful insights. I really like the milk boiling idea. Yeah, Mrs. Nivrita, your thoughts on this, please. Your parting thoughts.
Sir, so regarding the programs, or not able to get
about this today's session.
Yeah, I didn't know that we can be a panelist actually. That was very nice of you to believe us and arrange this session, sir. But it was interesting to talk and get perspectives from other parents as well. So it was a good experience, sir.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Thank you all the parents for your wonderful thoughts and insights, and I'm sure our parents who are listening also have a very positive frame of mind, and that is the reason you're up here in the first place. And thanks a lot for joining. So with that, we conclude the session today. Let me